to another edition of Sales TV, the North American edition. Today, it looks like there's two of us, myself and Alex, and we are here to bring you all of the things sales talk. Today, we really have no agenda. I have something in mind. I'm going to roll it out and see what Alex has to say about it. But we'd also like to hear from you. If you have some ideas, if you have some questions, if you have some thoughts that you want to share with us, please bring it. Think of this as your virtual water cooler.
Yeah.
And, oh, excellent. We are joined by Tim as well.
Hello, Robert.
Welcome, Tim.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good.
Doing all right, thanks.
The topic today was punctuality.
Oh, hurtful.
So I'm gonna pull the old customer card. I've been on a call with a customer, and it was either talking to him or talking to you.
Okay, we'll let you off.
I'm paying the bill. I'm sorry, but paying the bill's one.
I will tell you what I tell all of my salespeople. If you close the deal, it's acceptable.
No pressure.
Right. So, as we were saying, there's really not much of an agenda today, not yet anyway. But I did have something that I've been pondering a bit recently, and I wanted to get your take on it as well.
Okay.
Sales versus marketing.
Ooh.
Good question.
Are they different? If so, how? So, if you don't mind, I'd like to start vis-a-vis sales messaging versus marketing messaging and see what you think about this. I've been thinking a lot about this recently. Marketing messaging is for the mass audience. It's not really customized to the extent that as a one-on-one message would be. At best, we have personas. And we try and customize our marketing messaging to address a given persona. That is, somebody in a particular role or with particular responsibilities or whatever the case may be. But in general, marketing messaging is for the masses. It's brand awareness. Whereas sales messaging is for the one-on-one conversation. It's not at all brand awareness. It's direct response. I speak to you, Alex, about you, Alex, and I want you to take a particular action. Yeah. So how is it that we expect marketing to deliver leads? How is it that we expect sales to go viral and have any success in either case?
Yeah.
Am I off base here? Have we just forgotten the whole point?
Well, I hope there's no marketers on this call right now, because
I hope there is. Because I'd love for them to join in and come up with some comments. But you go first, Alex.
Okay. So back in the day when lead nurturing used to work, I would appreciate, as a sales leader, I would very much appreciate the effort that marketing would go to in creating content that would act as that sort of, top and sometimes middle funnel. I think as time went on, and I'm thinking now about 2015 to 2018, and even before that, actually, I personally worked strategically with marketing to create content that was specific to, the go-to-market strategy that I was driving as a sales leader. And often that was top of funnel, could have been middle of funnel, but equally bottom of funnel. And that would come in the form of content, insight, as well as intimate events to try and get small groups together. So I'd have to say I disagree with you, Rob, because, you know, I think marketing play a bigger role than that. But equally, you know, we had an interesting conversation earlier today about this idea of pipeline generation sitting with marketing, you know, demand gen sitting with marketing. And by that way of thinking, it creates this divide that we've been trying to eliminate for years.
So when you're saying that you're working with marketing as a sales leader, I was never implying that it shouldn't be. In fact, marketing has to come to you to understand the buyers. But what they do is they go to you and they go to every other person in the organization, and then they boil it down and they take the commonalities, and that's where they get the personas. They're not reaching out to any one individual that you're prospecting, or are they?
So I kind of agree with Alex. When you talk about pipelines and things like that, you'll get some comments saying that's old-fashioned because it's not linear anymore. And I totally understand it's not linear. I'm using the pipeline as a mechanism to really just to give a visual. There is a place at the top where you've got to create some sort of desire for what you do, because you want someone to come to you and go, that's really interesting. But I think that in the book that Adam and I wrote, where we used a particular case study of an organization that went through a process, there are different places that, because usually what happens is, Rob, is that we say there is this place at the top for marketing, and then there's a place underneath that for sales. And in fact, there's a place for you know, there's like, it's a bit like a graphic equalizer or a volume control. You can move those individuals, because it may be that you need something being done in the middle of the funnel that actually marketing would be best to sort, and they would work collaboratively with sales to do that. I can think of conferences that have been organized where they were middle of funnel conferences rather than creating desire.
Yeah, this was before the days of social selling.
Yes. Whereas you don't need to do the conferences because you can do it all online. But again, you would need to have the collaboration. You know, we had Kelly Simpson. She had a double-barrel name, but Kelly Simpson from the Caribbean.
Oh, yes.
Who was great at talking about, in effect, what she was talking about was internal marketing, which was about the co-collaboration that needs to take place between people. Yes, I think that in a way, salespeople need to be in a situation where they're working for either in one-to-one or one-to-many, because it may be an account. They're not necessarily working one to thousands. But it may be if you're given the media vertical or the telco vertical, it may be that's 10, 20 or 100 accounts. So there again, you're seeing that, you should be seeing that as your territory. It's a great question, Rob, and I think it's one that needs to be developed. For some reason or other, Siri has just decided to come up on my Mac.
Yes, Tim.
Let
me just add quickly before we move on. You had a very good excuse, Tim, for being slightly late to the call. I think Adam has a better excuse because he's
he does. Yes. I wasn't even going to mention it, Alex, to be honest.
Welcome, Adam. Seller on the road.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed. I managed to find somewhere to pull over where I've got enough 4G to be able to pair to the broadcast.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, Adam, what I had rolled out to the team was marketing versus sales vis-a-vis messaging. And my contention is that marketing messaging is intended to be to the masses and intended to be brand awareness, whereas sales messaging is intended to be one-on-one. It's intended to elicit a direct response. And I see a distinct difference between the two. These gentlemen have been great about putting me in my place and telling me, no, that's just not how it works. So care to chime in?
The whole point of this podcast is that
most definitely.
We challenge and we have a safe environment in which to work.
Well, here's a crazy idea. Why doesn't marketing just report to sales, and there is no sales and marketing divide?
But I think that they've got very distinct jobs, haven't they? So brands like Apple do not become mega brands without brand marketing. You know, the idea that you have a brand that stands for something, you create all of those beautiful visuals, you establish the business and the organization that's known for something. But outside of the B2C space in which Apple operates, you know, they create a new iPhone and then people queue around the block to go and buy it in the stores. In the B2B space, I think that people still have this unreasonable expectation that we'll run a mine and the phone will start ringing. And actually, I don't think that's the way things work anymore. It may have been once upon a time, but I don't think it is anymore. But I think that to assume that you don't have somebody that is the guardian of the brand is rather short-sighted, because, you know, you end up with a disparate, you know, a million different messages out there, which adds confusion to an already confused buying process. But I think the salesperson's job is to have those one-to-one conversations, to shepherd the individuals through and give them the confidence to be able to believe that they can make a sensible purchase. I think that the problem area comes with that bit in the middle. You know, so as you were saying, Tim, you know, you've got like a territory or a big company. You know, I'm selling to Oracle. I can't sell by myself to Oracle because it's a company of 200,000 people. So I need to have my own sales-driven marketing conversation to hope to spread my word and the brand's word within the organization. But I think that's a very tactical marketing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You know, those are seasonal or task-specific messages that are put out there. But I think that the challenge, again, that we have is that many people in both sales and marketing believe that message will elicit a response, and it won't. You know, people that run a campaign and just sit there staring at the phone waiting for it to ring, that's delusional behavior. You know, all you can hope is that you publish some valuable content, you know, podcasts or white papers or even something glossy. You put them out there, and then you hope that when Tim, the salesperson, phones up and says, "Hi, I'm from Company X," the recipient says, yeah, I was on your podcast the other day. I thought that was really interesting. That it's going to activate somebody to is ridiculous. In the same way that we all know that, you know, every time you open your email, you've got 100 messages from people claiming to provide you with an endless stream of leads. Well, it's fiction.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so glad you chose Apple, because that's the example I often give. Marketing and brand awareness, Apple is probably hands down one of the best. But I, as an individual, have never spoken to an iPhone. I've spoken on an iPhone, and Siri notwithstanding, I suppose. I've never spoken to an iPhone, but I have spoken to somebody at the Genius Bar or somebody in the store. And that's the one-on-one conversation marketing cannot have with me.
But the problem that we have in using Apple as an example is that 99.999999999% of companies are not Apple.
That's true.
And the audience that we're talking to are not Apple. So, you know, it will be, you know, I have some SaaS software that does AI, and there's 20 people in the company, and it's, you know, and so how is it that a person who is the marketing manager of that company, how is that person going to create a brand and going to create the desire in the marketplace for people to say that they want to buy? That's a completely different proposition.
We also have some audience comments I want to make sure to include. Dr. Grant Van Ulbrich says,
Never heard of
agree. Never heard of them. They have very distinct
Hi,
roles.
Grant. Sorry, I'm being facetious.
They have very distinct roles and are necessary to support different roles. But this is key. Why does education in the US teach sales under a marketing degree? Sales is a discipline in its own merit with science and psychology. Fortunately, there are now exclusive sales-focused master's and PhD programs. And Dr. Grant, that's actually exactly why this has been on my mind lately. I would generally say they don't teach sales in college. As it turns out, now they do, but not nearly as much. But I was starting to ponder, why is sales under marketing in college, but in the business world, marketing is often under sales, or at least often considered lesser than. So it's an interesting dynamic there. But yeah, that was the spark that really started this conversation in my own mind. So I'm glad you brought that to the forefront as well. Thank you.
Yeah, this topic is like kicking the hornet's nest. I mean, you know, the sales and marketing alignment topic has been around since the dinosaurs. And
But that problem has only actually been addressed since the publication of a brilliant book on exactly this topic called Smarketing.
I haven't heard of that book in 5 minutes.
Is it still for sale?
It is.
It's one of the unsigned copies, actually.
One of the rare unsigned copies.
Yeah, rare unsigned copies.
The signature makes the value go down.
I tell you, if each of you, that is to say, Alex and Rob, go and buy a copy, you'll double sales overnight.
Right, where can I get it?
Amazon, of course.
Amazon.
Yeah, it'll be in the dump bin at the front of the store. Half price, 10 for 5 cents.
There we go. You know, we were doing a fire pit last night. I'm on holiday, as they say in Europe, on vacation here in the States, and we needed some kindling.
Yeah,
it does burn very well.
We've got some.
I use it because my desk's a bit wobbly, and
Oi.
We got some die-hard hosts of Sales TV today. We had Andy Huff on holiday this morning, and we've got Rob Durant, who's on holiday this evening.
I know. These lightweights who go on holiday and then don't turn up. Anyway,
we have another
good comment from Grant. I need to be nice to him because I was a bit horrible earlier on.
It's okay. He can handle it. It's fine.
So he goes on to say, so right, Rob, and it will take years for the legacy of ownership from marketing MBAs that say sales is theirs. There are two completely distinct pathways and careers. Sales master's programs are at their infancy. I, for one, could not be a professional marketer, nor would I expect the head of marketing to go on the road and perform as a global account manager. Two different pathways.
So,
are they?
Yeah, and it would be interesting if we had Andy, because he always loves a platform to talk about education. And I think that there's a number of things, isn't there, that Andy would normally talk about, which is that the educational position isn't right. And I think Dr. Grant is making a great point there. But also Andy would want to be talking about the ongoing self-guided training that you would go on during your career.
Yeah.
Because we need to mention there's what you do maybe before you get a job or while you've got, but also that self-guided training as you go through your career.
Yeah, the lifelong learning. Yeah.
And Dr. Grant is a great example of somebody, who went back to university at age, I'll say 30. And
so quite recently then.
And and has gone on and done a master's and a PhD, and that's a great example of someone that's taken taken time out or taken time out to be educated in not necessarily their 20s or their teens.
So back to your point earlier then, Rob, would maybe this is oversimplifying it, but marketing's overall role is about content creation and inspiring the buyer, whereas sales role is having conversations with the buyer. And if that is the case, who's responsible for creating the conversations?
Well, I think it's the salesperson's role these days, for exactly the reason that I said, that if you are expecting your marketing campaign to drive inbound, it's foolish today. It's not to say that no company ever gets inbound, because of course some do. But as we often say when we're working with organizations, the problem with inbound is that you're not in control of it. You vest control to the buyer, hoping that the buyer will contact you. Hope has never been a good strategy. So if you want conversations, yes, you can or a mediocre marketing campaign that is a runaway success, and maybe the phone rings and maybe it doesn't, and maybe it rings with the right people and maybe they aren't, and maybe it rings often enough and maybe it doesn't. Or alternatively, the salespeople can go out and metaphorically knock on doors and start to have conversations with people. So it's sales' job to create those conversations and marketing's job to provide enough background that people are not entirely unused to the brand. I mean, you're right, Tim, that the problem with Apple as an example is everyone in the world knows who Apple is. So when you say I'm from Apple, it instantly conjures up that brand image. And of course, every marketer says, well, that's what I'm trying to create. We're like the Apple of. No, you're not. You're nothing like the Apple of, because there's only one Apple, and there's only one Rolls-Royce, and there's only one Oracle or SAP, and these are globally renowned brands. And most of the organizations out there are, by nature of the fact that they're smaller, there are more of them, companies that people haven't heard of.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, you and I are working with an organization right now, a accounting software provider, or ERP vendor as they would call themselves, where currently 100% of the leads are generated by marketing.
Yeah. And I think therein for them lies the opportunity, because if you think about how many different CRM, ERP, accounting software systems there are out there that aren't, in the case of CRM systems, everybody in the world has heard of Salesforce. And then there's a load underneath that most people haven't heard of. If you're in that bottom stripe, so $20, $50 per head per month stripe, a good product, but nothing like the market penetration of Salesforce, why would I even notice you? Your introduction is, we're a great new CRM vendor. And as we all know, the challenge with CRM or any SaaS software, the challenge is implementing it. So I've spent all of this time implementing, let's say, Salesforce within my business. And then you come along and you tell me you've got a better product, but I know the pain to implement Salesforce and everyone knows how to work that now. Why would I change? Why would I change to you that's got a great piece of software, Tim, rather than you, Rob, that's got a great piece of software, or you, Alex, that's got... Actually, the only way that you can break through is not by putting a pretty logo and a nice narrative in front of me, is for you as a salesperson to back me into a corner and say, this is the magic that I can bring to your organization. And then if I've built enough of a relationship with you, or you've built enough of a relationship with me that I trust you, I'm going to A, listen, and B, believe what you say. That's not a sale, but that's the start of a relationship. And outside of that, it's all hocus pocus, isn't it? A logo that I've never seen before for a product that I've already got, which already solves the problem that I have. A compelling way of selling something, is it?
No.
Well, the only place you can go then is price.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the exact conversation that marketing cannot have en masse. That has to be held one-on-one.
Well, and this is, I think, Rob, this is why somebody mentioned it earlier, LinkedIn user, a reference to account-based marketing. And I think marketing teams are trying to get closer to that one to few, almost one-to-one in terms of company to company, even though there's 20 plus stakeholders to awareness with.
Sorry, that's someone going past on their super bike.
I thought it was your stomach.
It sounded like
aliens.
A snooker coming in.
But even with aliens landing near Adam, this whole notion of account-based marketing, still, I think the question becomes, well, where does that sit? Should it sit with marketing, or should it sit with sales? Because I don't know about you, I've worked within organizations where marketing has led that from a global perspective, and it's not quite hitting the mark from a local perspective. And so
it's interesting, Alex. There's a book out there that you can get on, which actually has a chapter in there about account-based marketing, and the discussion is, should it be account-based marketing or should it be account-based sales?
Well, the latter. Absolutely the latter.
And our other co-author, Hugo Witcher, on it actually called it account-based everything.
Okay.
Which is that it should be sales, marketing, customer service, all of the things that we would be doing, or now we would see under a revenue operations type umbrella, or go to GTM umbrella, or whatever the latest term is for it.
Yeah.
Because what we're trying to do is, especially in any downturn, is to sell to our existing clients, because it's easier to sell to those existing clients than it is to get new ones. Yeah. We talked about that this morning.
Yeah.
The cost of acquisition of new clients versus the cost of going in and talking to existing clients.
Yeah, that was in relation to losing people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my line of thinking was, first, can marketing do anything beyond brand awareness? Can they effectively impact direct response? And if they can't, and I don't know that we've decided it, but if they cannot really impact direct response, why do we look to marketing to generate leads?
So Alex had some data a couple of months ago about MQL's marketing qualified leads to SQL's sales qualified leads. And I talk to a lot of people where they say someone comes onto our website and they give their name for a piece of gated content, and then sales ring them up and sales says, well, it's not a lead, and it's not a lead. Which is why we had these terms, MQLs and SQLs, were created, because we would go into meetings and talk about leads, and marketing and sales, even though they used the word lead, they meant something very different. But the figures that Alex had about MQLs to SQLs was pretty atrocious.
Yeah, I can't remember what the figures were, but
I can't remember what the figures were.
Well, I mean, it was single-digit percentage points, wasn't it?
It was low, yes.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem with MQL and SQL, or whatever the business calls it, it's and I don't know if I should say this, but I used to use the acronyms in order to secure marketing budget to do the things that I needed to get done in order to move pipeline through the funnel. But what I've seen is businesses are dropping the term SQL because they're finding it so difficult to qualify leads that are coming from marketing, and they're going straight to SAL. So we're going to accept this lead. Sales is going to sales accepted lead. Sales is going to accept this lead no matter what the quality, because the sales team just needs something to work on. And so, I think we're in this period of
chasing crap.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not mince our words, Tim.
There we go.
Isn't part of the problem here that that sales and marketing are coming at this from two different directions? So you said, Rob, about should this be a marketing? Can marketing even do account-based marketing? No, they can't. But neither should they try. So one of the problems that we have is that salespeople are brilliant at creating conversations, but in my experience, they're not very good at making things beautiful. So a salesperson being able to say, I need a personalized insight document for this client because I'm having a conversation and I want to blow them away with the output from the conversation, and they pass it to the marketing team, and the marketing team collate all of the insights and the facts and figures and put it into a bespoke document. One of the things that I think, particularly in the B2B space, but also in the B2C space, B2C space, is that people do not want to be lumped together. The last three people really like this jumper, therefore you're going to like this jumper. No, I'm not going to like the jumper. So when you see something which is a generic document, which has been produced after a conversation for you, it's like handing somebody a brochure. It isn't a brochure, but it's like handing someone a brochure. And actually, sales and marketing need to up their game. Salesperson needs to have the conversation which stimulates the trust and the relationship upon which the piece of content is going to be read. And then they have to have a bespoke piece of content that will resonate with them. Not resonate with that ICP, resonate with that individual within that company. That must be the way forward. And let's be honest, if marketing is spending all of their time creating email newsletters and marketing and advertising campaigns and whatever that don't deliver a response, they should be doing something that might deliver a response. It still might not, but what we do know is the stuff they're currently doing isn't working effectively.
Or should they? And I say this, Dr. Grant shares, marketing doesn't just do sales leads. They also create brand awareness, visibility, brand reputation, and he goes on. I'm wondering if they should even worry about leads at all. There is value to all of those other things that Dr. Grant had listed, the brand awareness, visibility, brand reputation, websites, and so on. But I believe at least a good portion of the reason they do lead generation is because they want to get closer to the revenue. They want to say that the work that I'm doing is providing value. And the closer you can get to the transaction, the closer that you can get to the sale, the closer you can get to taking credit for adding value to the organization. They do add value, but it's too hard to measure.
I totally agree with Dr. Grant that marketing do those things, but they're all how do you measure reputation?
Exactly.
How do you measure visibility? And that's why marketing want to get, if you're saying I'm creating leads, I remember in a situation where we had a team of SDRs, and the salespeople would basically claim the fact that the leads that the SDRs had created, because what they wanted to do was to show that they were adding value by generating leads. What I would say as a converse to that, Rob, is I'm in sales. I don't have time to generate leads. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to go out? I've got my pen and the contract. Do you want me to go out and close this deal, or do you want me to generate some leads?
So do I want you to take an order, or do I want you to start the order?
Yeah.
I think I'd like you to start the order and more of them. I can get anyone to write it up.
But Grant's comment here about they also create brand awareness, visibility. I don't think they do, for the most part. So we've got. I think they try to, but if you think about the organisations that are top in their respective fields, and often if you are working within an organization in a B2B field, you're in sales, there's no reason to assume that you would know what the best CRM system is just because you're in sales. You may use the best CRM system. You may have your favorite CRM system, but you don't necessarily know what the marketplace of CRM systems looks like because you're in the marketplace of injection molding plastics or whatever it is, because that's what you do. So, Wosthoff, German company, make the best knives. Is it a brand anyone's heard of? No. D'Addario make the best guitar strings. Is it a brand anyone's heard of? No. Unless you play the guitar and you buy their strings. And I think that part of the challenge here is that every marketer wants to create a world-beating brand. Yeah, well, there's Apple and there's Google and there's whoever, Dell. Yeah, and there's a handful of these brands that everyone's heard of. You possibly, I won't say probably, possibly don't even know the brand of tires that you have on your car. The single most important component of your car, you don't know what brand. You go into the tire shop and you say, I want a set of Pirellis. And they say, we haven't got any Pirellis in your size, but we have got Continental, Michelin, Hankook, Yokohama. Which ones do you want?
We've got some remolds.
Yeah, which ones are best? They go, oh, these new Hankook ones. And you go, all right, I'll have a set of...
Yeah. I know which ones I've got. I was a mechanic when I left school, so I should.
Yeah, well, you're the exception proving the rule. But you know what I mean. Like for so many of these things, the vision is that I'm going to create the marketers. The vision is that I'm going to create the next Apple, and you're not.
Yeah,
you're not. That's a company that has invested a huge amount in the brand and was there at the right time in the right place. For most of these companies, they are absolutely invisible. And it's like when people say, so my client list includes these 20 companies, and you look at it and you go, I've no idea who those people are.
Yeah, but do we have to be so negative?
I don't think it is being negative.
No, towards marketing. I think if there were marketers listening on this call, they would feel like they're being attacked. So why can't we all just work together for the good of each other?
There could be a book about that, couldn't there? Yeah, but
Alex, I believe we are. In all honesty, I believe we are. I think where we've gone astray is when everyone is trying to prove their worth, their ROI, because that's what a lot is coming down to these days. We could not have a very successful business without the marketing team and the sales team and the client success team and finance, by the way, and all of the others. But everyone is forced to justify their existence. So I might reach a little bit further than I truly have contributed to take credit for some of these things in order to preserve my job.
So I've just come off a call, with an individual who is doing an element of social selling. So this is a real business case study. It's a packaging company, and he's the marketing manager for Poland. The website is created in Vienna in English. None of his customers speak English. The website basically says, buy my product because we're great. And so there's no local language. They're trying to sell to local people. And what he's found is that doing certain things in digital has actually helped him. So what I'm saying is I'm going back to the, I do understand what Grant is saying about marketing is there to create awareness, visibility, brand reputation, and websites. I totally get that. But here is an individual, and how many other individuals are like this? Because he, the German marketing manager and the French marketing manager and all of those, where marketing is doing all those things that Grant is saying, but it's not actually providing what the people in the local country or the local vertical within that business need.
Yeah, that is. I bet that is a big problem for many organizations around the world.
Yes. Now it's a case study around social selling. I'm not going to go into the detail of it because we're not here to pitch, but I think it's a business problem that is being impacted. Grant's right but they're not providing the service to their customers. Marketing providing services to the customers, as in their company, that their customers within their company want.
Yeah.
But is this because people do what their job is? By which I mean, marketing people, they're not there to sell, they're there to do marketing. Salespeople are there not to help the customer, they're there to sell.
The head office in Vienna, I'm sure if you got them on here, said we are doing exactly what our KPIs tell us that we should be doing.
Absolutely. So I was talking to somebody at a big tech vendor the other day, and they had lost a deal because the legal department hadn't processed the deal quickly enough, and the client had lost confidence and just said, you know what, actually I'll go somewhere else, I can't be bothered anymore. And that's because the legal department was doing legal. They were doing their due diligence, and they were looking for faults in the contract or whatever that they could pick up on to prove their value to the organization, rather than saying, what am I here to do? In a tech vendor, above all else, which is all about sales, what am I here to do? I'm here to facilitate the sale. If that was their belief system, there would have been a very different outcome for that person that was selling. And I think it's the same with marketing, as you said, Tim. The issue is that I'm here to market, I'm here to create a website, I'm here to do this, rather than I'm here to help facilitate the sale.
Yeah. Well, you need a good salesperson to manage all of those moving bits to ensure that the contract doesn't die in legal.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, part of working for a big company in sales is often managing. You spend 50-60% of your time working on internal stuff.
Yeah.
I just had to bring up Dr. Grant's comment because it starts with, "You're right, Tim." How often do you hear that?
Not very often. Yeah, I totally agree, Grant. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to pick on you or anything like that. You create great comments and stuff like that, and of course what we're trying to do is debate, and you create some great insight and comments which are great to debate. So please don't, I'm not picking on you or whatever. It's just that I'm flattered that you're spending time with us and interacting with us.
Yeah, indeed. So we've got a few minutes left.
Big debate then, Rob, over a little quick question, wasn't
it? And that's what SalesTV is all about.
And you're on vacation as well. Thank you for coming on vacation.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
My wife said to me the other day, because obviously, people are joining, co-hosts are still joining this whilst on holiday. You included, Tim. She said, "Are you going to join when we go on holiday?" I don't know.
I think that really wraps us up. Another great, as we like to say, virtual water cooler conversation. And that is the intent behind SalesTV. Thank you to our audience. Thank you for all of the comments. Thank you to the panelists. Great to see all of you again. And until next week, again, SalesTV is live on Tuesdays. We have 2 broadcasts, one for EMEA, one for North America, but there's nothing saying you can't watch both. Some of us were up at 3:30 in the morning ready to watch both.
So I highly recommend the one this morning where we actually nearly chalked up the cost of sales. We nearly got the notebook out and actually started working out how much a salesperson costs us. Hopefully Andy is going to get the professor stroke lecturer from Bournemouth University on.
Yeah, Dale Childs, thank you.
Yeah.
And the value of sales as well.
Yes.
Just the cost of sales.
Yeah. I knew I'd get it wrong.
Cool. All right. That wraps us up. For
Thanks,
everyone,
everybody.
Thanks again. We will see you next week.
Thank you.